Good evening. My name is Edward Sanshin Oberholtzer. I'm the resident priest and guiding teacher at the Joseph Priestley Zen Sangha in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. We're a part of Empty Moon Zen. Let's begin with a case from the Blue Cliff record, case number 86, Yun Men's Bright Light. Yun Men taught, everyone has her own light. If you want to see it, you can't. The darkness is dark, dark. Now, what is your light? He himself answered, the storeroom, the gate. He then said, it would be better to have nothing than to have something good. Several decades ago, during my former life as an attorney, I found myself on a hot, sunny June 21st, driving the state car, a retired and ancient Land Cruiser acquired from the state police, from Boston to Salem for a court hearing. It struck me during that drive that this was the longest day of the year. That from here on out the days would just become shorter, the nights longer, until we sank into the gloom of deep midwinter. I got back into the car after the hearing and, stuck in traffic with the window down to compensate for the lack of air conditioning, I turned on the radio on an AM-only job that could only pick up a single station, a talk radio show where the announcer told us that this was the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, that the days would only get shorter until we reached the depths of winter's darkness. Ah, yes, the darkness is dark, dark. We do our best to hold off that darkness. As Yun Men said, everyone has her own light. Towards the Advent season, my grandfather's house always had the classic solitary Anglican electric candle in each window, connected by a frayed cord to an old plug and casting a weak yellow-orange glow. A reminder to me today of the Unitarian tradition of lighting a chalice, itself a memory of when Unitarians lit a candle in their windows in Central Europe to let Jews know that here is a safe house. Everyone has her own light. Now, what is yours? There seems to be an infinite number of excuses to bring in light, to burn away the darkness. Today marks the beginnings of Diwali, one of the great festivals of Hinduism, a time of celebrating light, welcoming the goddess Lakshmi. And tomorrow, November 5th, is Guy Fawkes Day. The preceding 400 years or so have largely left memories of the gunpowder plot behind, along with its original anti-Catholicism, leaving the English with a tradition of bonfires that now burn only to light up the night, and which, in former colonies of the British Empire, combined with the Indian diaspora's celebration of lights, Guy Fawkes and Diwali intertwined. And those bonfires linger on, celebrating the winter solstice, chasing away the darkness. Candles flicker in jack-o'-lanterns. Hanukkah celebrates the Maccabees' successful revolt against Antiochus Epiphanes. According to the Talmud, the temple was purified and the wicks of the menorah miraculously burned for 8 days, even though there was only enough sacred oil for 1 day's lighting. More celebrations of light. My grandmother always liked to drive back to Arlington, Massachusetts, through North Cambridge at Christmas time to revel in the holiday lights in that Italian neighborhood. Though I prefer the tradition of a Yule log, predating the Christian holiday, and holding on to the light in the time of the dying sun. Again, says Yunmen, what is your light? He himself answered, the Yule log, the menorah. The Sandakai reminds us that the spiritual source shines clear in the light, the branching streams flow on in the dark, and these streams bring forth the myriad things, a cornucopia, flowing on out of that darkness. Yunmen would rather have had that nothingness, that boundlessness, rather have it than something good. I remember an old Irish folk tale of two youngsters who meet a leprechaun and are offered any of the jewels glittering on a bush by the side of the road. The first kid loaded his pockets with everything he could grab that glittered on that bush. The second accepted whatever the leprechaun chose. The first walked off weighted down with gems. The second received a pocket full of twigs and berries. The next morning, the first child woke up to find that his stash of jewels had turned to dust. The second, that the gift of the leprechaun had turned to gold. It would be better to have nothing than to have something good. Yunmen tells us that everyone has her own light. If you want to see it, you can't. The darkness is dark, dark. There in that darkness, like a grain of rice in an ebony bowl. For as the Sandakai tells us, in the light there is darkness, but don't take it as darkness. In the dark there is light, but don't see it as light. Light and dark oppose one another like the front and back foot in walking. But that light, your light, my light, lies out in plain view. There it is in the storeroom. There it is in the gate, in the Yule log, in the menorah. The Blue Cliff goes on to comment on Yunmen's little story. Spontaneously shining, ranged in the solitary light, he opens a route for you. Flowers fall. The tree has no shadow. When looking, who doesn't see? Seen or not seen, riding backwards on an ox into the Buddha's shrine. Blinded by the light, blinded by the darkness, enlightened by the 10,000 things. Thank you.